Well taken. Okay, what about heavy metals? I mean, you talk about heavy metals also being an underlying factor in many symptoms.
Absolutely. The EPA has shown evidence that most of us have too much lead in our body. Many of us have too much mercury. A lot of us have too much arsenic, too much cadmium. And these toxic metals, in modest amounts, cause insidious debilitations. And these modest doses are not considered significant at all by conventional medicine. They scoff at us. I do chelation therapy. I've been doing it since the early 70s. The chelation therapy is the standard treatment for heavy metal toxicity. If you're in a laboratory accident or an industrial accident and you get an overburden of methyl mercury, if you get an overdose of that in the laboratory or in an industry, then it can be a lethal dose. And then you wind up in the hospital getting intravenous chelation. There are chelating agents which will take these toxic metals out of the body. I've been doing that for the modest elevations, which sometimes cause serious debility and chronic fatigue-like syndrome. And when you treat these conditions with chelation, which is usually intravenous, there's oral chelation, but the best is intravenous. A series of intravenous treatments which take anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour and a half, and some of them in the early days would be 6 or even 8 hours. Some years ago, I remember there was a young man, and he was a very successful banker, 38 years old, steel-trap mind. At age 38, he started to get a mild dementia. Found it in his hair analysis, which is another test that's often scoffed at, found large amounts of lead. Well, where did the lead come from? Well, it turned out he was prematurely gray, and he was dyeing his hair. Doing well for his hair, but he was absorbing huge amounts into his system right through the skin. And when I stopped that and started chelating him, he got his memory restored and his career was saved. And the fact is that there are not many doctors outside our chelating community who would ever do a hair test to find that out.
That's amazing. What about, I understand there's an intravenous treatment for detoxing drug.
Yes, it's a series of 10 intravenous infusions we give over a period of about 12 and 14 days. They're long infusions. They're at least 6 hours, usually more like 8 or 10. It's a concoction of really simple, safe nutrients. It's elegantly formulated by Dr. William Hitt, and these IVs produce amino acids, which are the building blocks of protein, and they also have very important metabolic functions in the body. And when you give these amino acids, the pain of detox goes away. And sometimes the first day, very often the first day, you can quit almost cold turkey. And actually, some people do quit the worst kind of addictions, cold turkey, and have almost no discomfort. And if you ever talk to an addict, from a serious addict from any of these drugs, and the drugs are not just illegal narcotics and things of that nature. The drugs are legal things like the diazepams, like Valium and Vicodin. These drugs that are prescription drugs, perfectly legal and used properly. They don't even have to be used improperly. And people get terrible addictions, and when they try to quit, they go through the torments of the damned. They feel like their whole body is burning up, and they have these shooting pains and difficulty with swallowing and breathing, bowel function. Everything goes awry when they try to quit. And by the way, this is people who use them appropriately.
I understand, and this needs to be put out to the public. The public now, all of us out there, we ourselves could be suffering, you or a relative or a friend or your boss or a coworker, a neighbor next door, and they're being treated, and if you see someone that you know, a family member, that's constantly going to the same doctor, not getting any efficacy whatsoever, not getting better, it's time to take a look at things that like Dr. Susser is doing. He's here in Beverly Hills, but I'm sure he consults and can maybe speak to your doctor no matter where you are in the country. I'm giving an offer, I don't know if that's true, but is that true? I mean, would you consult and get back on the show? Because this information, there's so much, as you can see. I mean, time is slipping by very quickly here.